I told you guys there was a video streak going, but nobody believed me. Now that I've decided to actually start posting again, I decided to make a ton of mini filler videos in between all the actual reviews, so that way you would have something to watch while you're like eating or just waiting for the next video, so you're not waiting 7 months. So today, I will be ranking every single Youtooz FNAF vinyl figure. This will not include things that haven't released yet, such as the upcoming Toy Freddy figure or the Secret of the Mimic White Tiger figure. I will, however, include things such as the King of Markiplier FNAF figure, which is not necessarily a FNAF character, but still under the label. So long as it's like actually a FNAF character or has something inspired by FNAF in it, I will count it. There are 7 tiers, with the first 6 being your standard tier list tiers, but I also did include one at the top for what I consider to be the top 3 Youtooz vinyl figures of all time. I won't be judging the box art for each figure, nor if there's a common issue that happens during shipping, but instead rather the actual vinyl product itself and how it looks in real life. Starting off, we have the main 4 in their first release of figures. These, as well as Golden Freddy, are all going into S tier. These 5 figures are all extraordinary. The only complaint that I really have is the random bit of withering Golden Freddy has on his leg, but it's honestly not as important, kinda just a weird addition that Youtooz added onto there. Now, the flocked versions of the main 4 will be going to B tier, as while they're unique that they're flocked, being a whole different material, it's not enough to really warrant being anywhere above the middle ground, so I personally believe that they belong in the middle. However, the haunted versions of the main 4 will be going into S tier. These figures are amazing, being whole new poses of the original 4 plus Golden Freddy, including a whole new character for them each with the crying child behind them. Overall, an extremely amazing set, with my only complaint being that it was unfortunately a timed wave. This will be a very common complaint that I have throughout the video, so just why don't you take a tally every time I say it. Although, despite the praise I just gave the haunted wave, I will be putting the dark haunted wave into D tier, as not only was it a region exclusive, but overall just a recolor of the haunted wave, making it much less appealing and overall just a harder to get as a whole. Gold Chrome Freddy will be going into B tier, as it's simply the same as the flocked wave, with a different finish on already existing product. It's cool, but considering it was only available for a single day, I don't think it deserves to go much higher than this. Nightguard Ducko is going into A tier. Pretty cool figure and good build overall, with a decent color palette. I honestly quite enjoy the figure as a whole. The 8-bit purple guy figure is going into A tier, as it's just the 8-bit sprite, but marketable. Honestly, for what it is, it's a pretty nice figure. I like it. Sticking on the color purple, Human Purple Guy is our first and easily an F tier figure. This figure has nothing going for him. It's boring being all a single color, which, yes, I am aware his name is Purple Guy, but I still would have preferred more colors on him considering it's meant to be a human purple guy, and he also quite literally looks like a DeviantArt OC. His pose is lackluster, and overall just a really boring figure. Withered Freddy is going into S tier, as will Withered Chica, Withered Foxy, Mangle, and the Puppet. These figures are all super nice in terms of coloring, posing, and detail. Once again, sadly, they are a limited time wave, so they're not available anymore. But even so, they're a cool wave. Now, Withered Bonnie will be going into A tier, as I just don't like his figure as much as the others. His headshade feels just too far off to be good, and his pose is honestly kinda eh. I know he doesn't really have anything to go off of, but it still could have been better. Springtrap is an S tier figure. His colors match nicely, his build is overall very nice, and he comes with a cooler stand. Overall, an easy S tier, if not one of the best. Phantom Freddy will be going into A tier. He's a really cool figure with a nice color palette and a sick pose to match, but sadly he's a limited time figure, as well a character I have no real interest in, so he will be going into A tier. Watermelon Chica and Phantom Chica are both going into A tier as well, despite one being a recolor. Same as Freddy, they're both extremely nice figures, even with their limited time availability. I especially appreciate Watermelon Chica, as it's funny. That's it. Phantom Foxy is B tier, as he's similar to the other Phantoms, but his color scheme turned out much worse in person, being extremely inaccurate to the product images and art, and overall just looking much worse than the actual product images. Our first top 3 figure comes from the same wave as the Phantoms, with it being the amazing Springtrap Dafted figure. I am extremely salty that I missed copying this when it first came out, because it is quite literally one of the best figures Youtooz has pumped out to date, and I'm gonna stick by that. His pose is spectacular, with it being based on the FNAF 3 secret screens. The colors are all amazing, with it having more details than the original Springtrap figure. The only downside is that, of course, He's once again limited time. Despite this, he's easily one of, if not the best FNAF figures done by Youtooz. Clumping almost the entire wave together, the entire FNAF 4 line is S tier. The details are numerous on the figures. The poses are all super unique and amazing. The color schemes are all super nice, matching well for each figure. And overall, straight 10s all around. Except for one thing, they're limited time. Again. You can't get them anymore. Again. Words cannot describe how infuriated I was when I learned these were only available for a month! And that's it. 1 month. Despite this, these are all S tier products easily. However, I've decided that Nightmare himself is going into top 3. Not only does he have every single detail I mentioned for the Nightmare animatronics prior, but he also has the fact that his plastic is semi-transparent, meaning you can see the endo beneath the entire shell. Call it biased, but I think this is one of the top 3 easily as well. The Glamrocks are all B tier figures. Now, I know what you're thinking. Some of the best figures going into B? What was he thinking? Well, I'll tell you. These just aren't as appealing to me. Hey, wait, no, don't leave, please! I need more subs, please! You can't leave yet! Not yet, no! Okay, real talk, these figures just don't do it for me. They're okay with the details being correct and the colors are okay, but I just don't care that much. Something about them feels too empty. They're not bad, just not as cool compared to some of the other figures that would get released later. Despite this, I really like the Ruin line, and think Ruin Chica deserves A tier. Her build and colors look super nice, and I appreciate that it has a bit of a scene build to her figure. Ruin Monty is also a nice figure, but I don't really appreciate him as much as I do Chica, so I'll be putting him in B tier, which is where I think he's about. He's not too bad, but he's not too good. Ruin Roxy also goes in B tier, as it's a nice figure, but just like Monty, doesn't have a lot going on in terms of posing and scene, so I will also be including it in B tier. The Mimic is an S tier figure. He has his iconic arm curl, his colors are all pleasing to look at and accurate too, and he isn't a limited time figure, unlike a lot of the other figures from security breach related lines, meaning you can go currently buy him at the time of this video. The normal Sun and Moon figure is an S tier figure. They're both hitting the iconic statue poses from the daycare, as well as having good colors and a good build, making for an extremely pleasing figure. The 8-inch Sun and Moon figure will be going into A tier, as it doesn't change anything on the actual figure, but only makes it 2 inches taller. It also comes with a checkered stand, so it doesn't change much, but it is still a cool figure nonetheless. The Eclipse figure is easily an S tier figure. In terms of details, colors, and overall build, it's easily a step above the original Sun and Moon figure. Pat Pat is a C tier figure, with a similar case to the others where I just don't care as much about him. The figure isn't bad, but for how small it is in size in real life, plus its limited time availability, it's just not worth anything above a C tier. Burn Trap is a B tier, as once again, it doesn't necessarily look bad, but feels a bit more boring in terms of how much I care, on top of being limited time and how bland he looks overall. Hide and Seek Vanny is a D tier figure, a basic recolor and repose of a figure that was already an exclusive to begin with, on top of being still limited time and just overall extremely bland and boring. The color scheme, I will admit, is pretty pleasing to look at, but I would say it is not worth $30 for a limited time figure of an exclusive item to begin with. Vanny is a B tier as a whole, with it being summed up in one word. Character, colors, pose, everything. She was an exclusive to the Collector's Edition Security Breach box, which was $150, meaning that you couldn't even get this figure normally. Overall, just Ending off on all the Security Breach stuff, we have MX's, who in my opinion is a high A tier. For how little he provided in terms of story for Ruin currently, he's still an extremely nice figure regardless. His low-hanging head makes his big grin look much more sinister, and his colors all match super nicely for the build and pose of the figure, with his blocks at the bottom making the actual item look even more spectacular. The Dreadbear wave is one of my absolute favorites of all the Youtooz waves, so I will go with this as little bias as possible. Grim Foxy is a top 3. Wait. Hear me out for a second on this one. Firstly, he's got a very nice pose, looking as if he's about to strike at you. Secondly, they give him the extra detail of him actually being on fire. Unlike every other product he actually has flames protruding from his crevices and withering, making it look amazing. His entire color scheme is super nice as well, on top of every other detail I mentioned. The only downside he has is that he was a limited time figure, as usual, which makes me really sad as I think it should have been a permanent figure on their site. as it's a really nice figure as a whole. Dreadbear is an S tier character and figure. His pose is perfect, his colors are a sickly green, his details are super nice, and overall just a really clean figure. However, his 1 in 6 glow chase variant will be going into C tier. The figure itself is a 1-to-1 of normal Dreadbear with the added bonus of it being glow in the dark. So you're wondering, why is this one so low? Simple answer, extreme rarity. This was a chase figure of a timed wave, which is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. On top of you only having about a month to get the figure to begin with, you also had only a 1 in 6 chance of getting the figure, which for a $30 product is a really big scam. If the figure itself wasn't a limited time, I think it would have been better, but considering it was not worth it in the slightest. If it weren't for this, he would have easily been an S tier figure. Being a proud owner of previously 3 of these and now 1 after getting rid of the other 2, I'm disappointed how luck-based it truly was in the end. Especially with how much money you would have had to put out for it. On a higher note, Glitch Trap is an S tier product. Super nice pose, super nice colors, super nice details, and super nice in general. Fun to, look at, and an amazing piece despite his limited timing. Shadow Mangle is a C tier figure. Considering it came before Mangle and is just 2 colors, I don't actually care that much for it. Yes, sure the details are there, but considering the other Mangle exists as well as both being limited time, I don't think Shadow Mangle is going anywhere above a C tier. Vanessa is a B tier figure. Side character who has almost nothing extra or cool on the figure. Good details and coloring, but it's overall just kinda there. Movie MatPat is going into D tier. I actually like this one less than Vanessa. For a FNAF movie wave, I wanted characters that hadn't gotten any cool merch before, like the entire gang that trashed Freddy's, or even some of the movie versions of the animatronics, including a YouTuber cameo who would go on to get another FNAF-based figure later on. Just felt kinda boring and overall lazy. The figure itself isn't bad, with the colors being pretty good as well as the details, but I just don't care for it in a FNAF movie wave. If it was on its own under MatPat instead of the FNAF movie, I personally would have been fine with it and probably ranked it higher, but considering it was under a FNAF movie wave, I didn't like it that much. Next up is Doug. Now, I'm not a pervert, but I think this figure is just okay. Gag character from movie gets a funny looking Youtooz. Honestly, that's pretty B tier material. Matthew Lillard at the desk, aka Steve Raglan, is a B tier as well. Not a bad figure by any means, but it's just kinda there for me. I like it, but not too much. Mike and Shreddy Fazchair is an S tier figure. Amazing scene build for the main character in a semi-iconic moment with something that's apparently considered a character by you guys. I love the colors on it, and I love how detailed it is. Overall, S tiers all around. Movie Balloon Boy is an S tier as well, being almost a 1-to-1 of the movie version, making it a perfect movie prop if you wanted it to be. Sadly, this one as well as Golden Freddy were limited timed, making it so you can't even get them anymore, which is really lame, especially for such a good figure. Movie Golden Freddy is an A tier, as it's a movie version of the Golden Bear we all love, as well as giving a smaller in size character like Abby a mini appearance, making a super cool figure. Good colors and details make this a really cute and fun figure, despite what the scene's implications are actually. Finally for the movie waves, we have Yellow Rabbit, which is easily one of the best figures they've done to date. Coming with a swappable head, something newer for Youtooz, he hits his iconic intro pose, which is hunched and ominous. Both heads look super cool, and overall makes for a super menacing and sick figure. Plus he throws it back in one of the trailers, so that obviously counts for bonus. Final 3 for actual figures related to FNAF are going to be the Fazbear fanverse wave, which are all limited time and gone for good. Despite this, they're all going into S tier. Candy and Pop Goes have super amazing color palettes, and while the poses are kind of lackluster, the figures themselves are nice enough to not matter too much and make up for it. Ignited Freddy is easily the best of the 3, slightly better than average pose with amazing details and perfect colors. If not for Grim Foxy, he would have been a top 3 figure easily. Next up we have all the non-FNAF FNAF related figures, which I know is a mouthful, but it basically just means like YouTubers who are semi-FNAF related. I don't actually have a script for this part, so most of it will be pretty free, but it still will be pretty much 1-to-1 of what I had in mind. Starting us off is Game Theory MatPat, who is going into S tier, as it's a super nice figure overall. The colors are super nice, and I like that you has the little whiteboard with Fredbear on top, which is actually a separate thing that you can move around freely. While he was unfortunately a limited time figure for his retirement, I still got one, and I actually think it looks better in real life than it does on the product images, which makes me super happy. Razbowski is going into D tier, as I think it's kind of just a weird figure overall. He's in like this weird like swimsuit, and it has purple guy on it, and that's pretty much it. That's all that's related to FNAF on there, and I don't know, I think the figure's kind of ugly. Our second F tier figure is actually going to be the first Fusion Z Gamer figure. This thing sucks, that's all I have to say. It's a terrible figure. However, the other Fusion Z Gamer figure, which is the Foxy one, is going into A tier, as that one looks much nicer overall, and I honestly kind of enjoy the way it looks, despite the fact I don't like Fusion Z Gamer that much. The entire Glamrock YouTuber line is going into C tier. I don't have much to say on it. It's there. That's really it. It's just there. The 8-Bit Ryan X Music Man figure is going into C tier, as again, I don't have much to say on it. It's just got like a little mini Music Man on there, and that's pretty much it. I don't know what to say about this figure, man. It looks okay, I guess. I don't know. The other 8-Bit Ryan figure I'm putting in B tier, as it looks a lot nicer and as well has a little bit of a scene build, which I know the other 8-Bit Ryan one does, but the scene build kind of sucks, and I like this one way more with all the hands, which are more zombie looking, as well as the FNAF related hands. Puppet Dako is going into A tier, as I like the figure a lot. I think the colors match super nicely, and I like that it has the little Freddy plush in there. I don't know why, but I just really like the Freddy plush. That's part of the main reason why I like it. Doc Trap is going into B tier, as I personally don't care much about the Doc Trap stuff, but I think the figure itself looks pretty nice. It has an older Glitch Trap head model on there, so it looks kind of dookie. But I do like the figure itself. I think it's pretty nice. Finally, ending it where it all started, we have King of FNAF Markiplier, who is a B tier figure. The figure has like nothing to do FNAF related, but more rather how Markiplier is the king of FNAF. He sits on a really heavy throne, and considering that it doesn't really have anything related to FNAF, I'm putting it in the middle. Hey, editing upside here, I'm gonna actually count the monitor buddies as figures because they're vinyl, I guess. They're in A tier. They're like middle-ish of A tier. They're really cool, but I don't have a monitor, so I can't even use these, so they're kind of just there for me, but I like them. I think they're really cute looking. That's pretty much all I have to say. And there, we conclude on all the vinyl figures for Youtooz ranked. This is a more organized chart of how each one would be ranked and compared to the other ones in that same tier. Either way, I hope you enjoyed, and bye, I guess.